Imagine being denied a hotel room in a hotel you own. No cameras. No bodyguards. Just quiet judgment. They looked at his clothes and decided he didn't belong. What they didn't know was this man wasn't a regular guest. He was Michael Jordan. And with just one calm phone call, this luxury hotel would never be the same again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive into what really happened. Section 1. The night that should have been perfect. No one inside that luxury hotel had any idea what kind of mistake they were about to make that night. It was late evening when a tall, calm man stepped out of a sleek black SUV and slowly walked toward the entrance of one of the most expensive hotels in Chicago. The city lights reflected off the glass doors, and everything about the place screamed class and perfection. The man wore a simple jacket, clean sneakers, and a cap pulled low over his face. There were no bodyguards, no cameras, no crowd following him. To anyone watching, he looked like just another quiet, wealthy guest hoping for a peaceful night. But this wasn't just any guest. This hotel was partially owned by Michael Jordan himself. After a long, exhausting day filled with business meetings, phone calls, and charity commitments, Michael made a simple decision. Instead of going home, he would stay at his own hotel. He didn't want attention. He didn't want special treatment. For once, he wanted to experience life as a normal guest. No recognition, no spotlight, just rest. As he stepped into the lobby, everything felt perfect. Bright, elegant lighting filled the space. Soft music played in the background. Guests checked in calmly, smiling as staff welcomed them. The marble floors shined, and the atmosphere felt warm and welcoming. Michael took a moment to breathe it all in. This was exactly the peaceful night he needed. He walked toward the front desk, stood patiently in line, and when it was his turn, he smiled politely. In a calm, respectful voice, he said, "I'd like a room for the night." At that moment, Michael expected nothing more than a room key and a quiet elevator ride upstairs. But what happened next shocked him and revealed a side of the hotel he never knew existed. The young receptionist barely looked up from her screen. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard as she typed his request, her face showing no interest at all. After a brief pause, she frowned slightly and said in a flat voice, "I'm sorry, sir, we're fully booked tonight." Michael nodded calmly, not surprised, not offended. With the same polite tone, he replied, "Could you please check again?" The receptionist let out a quiet sigh, clearly annoyed now. She tapped the keyboard once more, barely glancing at the screen this time. "Sir," she repeated, her voice firmer, "there are no rooms available. You'll have to try another hotel." Michael remained respectful. His voice stayed steady as he said, "I believe there should be availability." That's when the receptionist finally looked up, and her expression changed. Not to curiosity. Not to recognition. But to judgment. Her eyes quickly scanned his simple jacket, his cap, and his relaxed posture. In that moment, she made a decision based on appearance alone. "Look," she said bluntly, lowering her voice, "this hotel is for premium guests. If you don't have a reservation, there's nothing I can do." A few people in the lobby began to notice. Whispers started. A couple waiting behind Michael exchanged glances. Behind the desk, a manager observed the situation quietly. Instead of stepping in or asking questions, he nodded slightly at the receptionist, silently supporting her decision. Michael felt a sharp sting in his chest. Not because he was being denied a room, but because he was being dismissed, judged, and reduced to nothing in a matter of seconds. Still, he stayed calm. Looking straight ahead, he said one final time, "Please call the hotel manager." The manager stepped forward, slowly looked Michael up and down, and replied in a cold, confident tone, "Sir, we're not making exceptions tonight." In that moment, something shifted. This was no longer about a room. This was about respect. And what happened next would leave the entire lobby in shock. Section 3. One phone call that froze the entire lobby. Michael slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. His movements were calm, almost effortless, but the energy in the lobby suddenly shifted. The quiet background music felt louder than before, and the soft conversations around him slowly faded away. People sensed that something important was about to happen. The lobby went silent. Michael looked at his screen for a moment, then placed a single call. "Hi," he said calmly, his voice steady and controlled. "This is Michael Jordan. I need you to come to the lobby. Now." There was no anger in his tone. No drama. Just certainty. The manager standing nearby let out a soft laugh and shook his head. "Nice try, sir," he said under his breath, clearly convinced this was some kind of joke. But only minutes passed before the atmosphere changed completely. Suddenly, the glass doors swung open, and the hotel's general director rushed into the lobby, slightly out of breath, his expression filled with urgency. The moment his eyes landed on Michael, the color drained from his face. "Mr. Jordan," he said nervously, lowering his voice. I didn't know you were here." The lobby froze. Guests stopped moving. Conversations died instantly. Every eye turned toward the man standing quietly at the front desk. The receptionist's hands began to shake as she realized what had just happened. The manager who had confidently denied Michael a room took an unconscious step backward, his face pale and his mouth slightly open. He couldn't find words. Michael slowly removed his cap. There was no doubt anymore. This wasn't a random guest. This wasn't a bluff. This was the owner. Michael finally spoke again. His voice remained calm, but every word carried weight. "I was denied a room in my own hotel," he said. "Not because it was full, but because of how I looked." No one moved. No one spoke. Silence filled the lobby, heavy and uncomfortable. In that moment, the truth became impossible to ignore, and the consequences were just beginning. Michael didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult anyone. And that calm control made his presence even more powerful than anger ever could. He slowly turned toward the hotel's general director, his expression firm but composed, and said, "This hotel represents my name. And tonight, it failed." The words landed heavily in the silent lobby. The young receptionist immediately began apologizing, her voice shaking, tears forming in her eyes as the reality of the situation sank in. She explained that she was only following procedure. The manager who had dismissed Michael stepped forward, attempting to defend his decision, but Michael gently raised his hand, stopping him mid-sentence. "This isn't about punishment," Michael said calmly. "This is about standards." Within minutes, action was taken. The manager who had confidently denied Michael service was removed from duty and placed under formal investigation for unprofessional conduct and discriminatory behavior. The receptionist, however, was not fired. Instead, Michael chose a different path. She was reassigned to another role and enrolled in mandatory customer respect and bias awareness training. Then Michael did something no one expected. He looked around the lobby and asked for the names of every staff member who had witnessed the incident but chose to stay silent. When questioned why, he answered with quiet authority, "If you see injustice and stay quiet, you are part of the problem." The following morning, Michael personally addressed the entire hotel staff. Standing before them, not as a celebrity but as a leader, he announced immediate policy changes. These included mandatory equality and bias training for all employees, an anonymous system for reporting guest mistreatment, and a new promotion structure based on integrity, accountability, and professionalism, not favoritism. That night, Michael stayed in the same hotel. No special treatment. No reserved suite. Just a standard room. Because for him, leadership wasn't about power, it was about responsibility. News of the incident spread faster than anyone expected. By the next morning, social media was flooded with discussions, debates, and reactions. But the headlines weren't what most people assumed they would be. They didn't read "Michael Jordan fires hotel staff in anger." Instead, they told a very different story. Michael Jordan teaches a lesson in humility and respect. People around the world were moved, not because a famous man had power, but because he chose wisdom over ego. In later interviews, Michael was asked why he handled the situation the way he did. His response was calm, thoughtful, and unforgettable. Fame fades. Money disappears. But character, Character is who you are when you think no one important is watching. That single sentence became the heart of the story. That night was never about proving who Michael Jordan was. He didn't need recognition. He didn't need validation. His legacy was already written. What mattered more was revealing a truth many people prefer to ignore: how quickly respect disappears when someone is assumed to be nobody. The way people treated him in that lobby was the same way countless ordinary people are treated every day. Judged by appearance. Dismissed without reason. Denied dignity before being denied service. And that is why this story matters. Because respect should never depend on status, clothing, fame, or a name. It shouldn't be something earned only by the powerful. Respect should be automatic, given freely to every human being. Michael Jordan didn't make anyone regret their actions through anger or humiliation. He did it through leadership, accountability, and example. He didn't just change one hotel. He reminded the world of something far more important. Who you are when no one is watching is who you truly are.